Does batting average even matter anymore? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss one of these videos in the future. And don't forget about my Substack. You can pay and get a bunch of cool goodies, or you can just get it for free, get a weekly newsletter, and access to all kinds of articles that we were writing over there. Anyway, back to the video. Now, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter anymore for a bunch of reasons, but whenever I go on there, I'm usually thrust into some conversation about advanced analytics in baseball and whether or not stats matter and if they're dead or if they don't matter anymore or whatever. And yesterday was no exception, where we had this tweet from John Heyman: batting average doesn't matter anymore. The top 5 teams in batting average are in first place. He makes a good point. Batting average does seem to correlate with being in first place at the moment, but I also don't really agree that batting average doesn't matter anymore, or that anyone is really saying it. If someone asked, who says that anymore? And he said, many people. I need more than that. We need to know who. Is it just fans? Is it people who are stat rats at home for fantasy baseball? Are we talking GMs? Are we talking owners? Who are we talking about here? Because that is an important distinction to make. And this is just one example of a lot of this old school versus new school conversation that's constantly happening in baseball. So hopefully I can very quickly illustrate for you why that sentiment isn't quite true. And even the people that may be insinuating that it is that way, they don't really mean it like they don't look at it at all either. This is how batting average actually is used. Let me start at the very beginning, when I learned a lot about what analytics were for and how they came about. In a conversation in 2019 with the head of analytics for the Minnesota Twins, Josh Kalk, I was trying to pick his brain about advanced statistics and where they came from, and he asked me a very eye-opening question. He said, Trevor, what is the currency that baseball trades in? What do we use to determine what is valuable and what isn't? And the answer to that question is runs. The offense is trying to score them, and the defense is trying to prevent them. In football, it would be points. How do we prevent points from being scored? How do we score points? Basketball, same thing. What currency does the economy trade in? Literally money. So runs are just the money of baseball. What we want to do is be able to use every statistic and link it to some sort of run increase or decrease in order to determine its value. That's a very simple premise that explains everything that is being done in the game right now. So let's take it back to batting average. For me, batting average is what I call a compass stat. It points me in a direction. The reason it's not being attributed as much value is because of the number of variables that go into batting average. Basically, when you look at a good batting average or a bad batting average, you need additional context to figure out if that batting average is going to produce a result that you are looking for. Because at the end of the day, people that are affiliated with teams are using this information to make decisions. This is what drives me crazy, because that is exactly what the people who love old school baseball are also trying to do. Back in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s and all the time before that, we were just using our eyes to make assumptions and then act on those assumptions. Scouting. Guys could run really fast. We put them leading off so they could steal second, get on second for the better hitters, right? Now we have statistics to aid in that pursuit. Old school and new school people are out here trying to answer the same questions and solve the same problems, except now the toolbox that used to just have a hammer and a screwdriver in it now has a whole bunch of Allen wrenches and weird socket wrenches and even these like little caliper things that we never figure out a reason to use them, but they're there. Let me give you an example. A little bit farther down in this thread, a guy named Daniel Harden, thank you so much, Daniel, for putting this graphic in there, that basically tries to list a bunch of advanced analytics on the side and then the runs that they produce on average on the right. One big issue I have with this is the description. Anything that says this shows the coefficients of determination is going to make 90% of the people that look at its brains shut off. I don't want people's brains to shut off. We need to not like talk down. We need to not confuse people and make it seem like we're talking down to them, because we're not, okay? In this context, weighted runs created, that's WRC, produces 0.907 runs, 90% of a run. That is a very good indicator of a hitter's ability to create runs. Let's go all the way to the bottom. We have whiff percent. This is 0.21 of a run. This shows the ability to suppress runs, but it's bad for an offensive player. And the only reason there's any number in there at all is because you can swing and miss and there'd be a steal and a base was still advanced. So a run is still more likely to score now and you didn't do anything. So this list of statistics is just the context that we now put on top of batting average in order to tell a specific story so that we can test a specific theory or make a specific decision. Now, let me give you two examples of two hitters with high batting averages and how batting average tells very different stories for them. Number one, Luis Arias is a very high batting average guy. Though he does not run very well, so he doesn't steal bases. He doesn't hit for power. He doesn't hit a lot of extra base hits. There's a lot of singles. So it is kind of his only tool, which is going to limit your value. Also, because of the lack of extra base hits and power, those singular hits aren't going to create a lot of runs. So you need other things to happen in order for him to have a lot of RBIs. That doesn't mean he has no value. That just means his value is his ability to what? Get on base. And what statistic represents getting on base better than batting average? On base percentage, because it includes walks and hits. You would need on base percentage along with batting average to really see how well he is doing the job that his skill set shows him doing. On the other side, we have Aaron Judge, also hitting for very high average. Not just singles though. He hits lots of doubles and lots of homers. Those type of hits have higher run probability, especially home runs, because they're automatic runs. He is a more productive hitter. You know what statistic is good at demonstrating better production per hit? WOBA, weighted on base average. Now, both guys, good batting averages. But if we just saw their batting averages and didn't see them physically, what conclusions could we draw? We couldn't draw any conclusions. And that is the point. It's not that batting average isn't a valuable stat. It's that it's so general that you need other statistics to provide context so you can make a decision. In this case, Luis Arias gets on base a lot and doesn't strike out a lot. So putting him in a situation where he can get on base for somebody to then hit him in is a good call. That is why he hits at the top of lineups. This is where the value for his batting average sits, and we wouldn't know that unless we knew he got on base. Aaron Judge, on the other hand, is a perfect 2 or 3 hitter because there are constantly people in front of him, and he also gets on base for guys with power after him. So if you want a guy who doesn't get on base a ton but hits for a lot of power, he should hit behind Aaron Judge. If you have a guy like Luis Arias who doesn't hit for very much power but does get on base a lot, you hit him in front of Aaron Judge. This is a very simple example of how two guys, similar batting averages, but are completely different players. That is the narrative you are hearing. That is why batting average has moved down in the priority, because it is considered a general stat. This guy might be good at these few things, but we have to go check to see if that's actually true with other statistics. Statistics that did not exist in 1990. But that doesn't mean that batting average isn't valuable. It is, especially outside of the ranges that are normal. For example, if a guy's hitting 420, he's good, especially if he's doing it for a length of time. You don't need to know much more about that, but it is interesting. You would go look and be like, is this sustainable? That is the next question you would have. On the flip side, a guy hitting 150, there's no peripheral stat. There's nothing that would be showing there if it's a good sample size, by the way. We're not talking about 150 for a week. We're talking about 150 for a year. There are simply just not enough hits. There is a such thing as that being an end all. If a guy's hitting 120, you don't have to look at anything else. He probably shouldn't be playing for your team. Now, could he get better somewhere else? Sure. But like, that guy's just not getting put in the lineup every time. But beyond that caveat, you need additional context. So is anyone saying batting average should not be considered at all? No, batting average is still important to pay attention to. It's just a general stat that points us in directions. Sure, we can hammer in all the nails, but sometimes there's a little screw that needs a weird Allen wrench, and it's better if you have that Allen wrench in your stupid toolbox. So I hope this helps. If you like this video, again, subscribe to it and give it a little thumbs up, and also turn on notifications for this channel so you don't miss videos. Like, none of you guys have notifications turned on, and that makes me sad. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I read them. I make these videos for you. Let me know what's missing, or if you agree or disagree. It's all valuable. I do appreciate it a lot, and I hope to make a lot of these videos in the future. That said, I gotta go. So don't forget to drink your water, watch your baseball. See you next time on Trevor May Baseball YouTube channel. Good night.